So one more thing I want to ask you, because a lot of people predicted when the series started, like Warriors in 7 or Celtics in 7. And it had me thinking because I've been watching a lot of hockey in the playoffs. A lot of it has to do because, like, one, I'm a degenerate. Two, the Rangers are in it. So I'm not going to be shy about it or not admit it. Like, hockey and baseball, if my teams that I root for are doing well, then I'll be more invested.
Of
Right?
course.
It's just...
I mean, you see that all the time.
Nah, for sure. But like with the NFL, like the Giants haven't been good in mad long, and I'm watching it. NBA too, like I'm following it more. Like those are the sports that I prefer watching, and it's a more enjoyable watch for me. Though hockey playoffs have been fucking amazing. They've been so fun to watch.
They always are.
This is inspired from a little bit of hockey playoffs and NBA playoffs. Would you rather your team get swept or lose in 7?
Definitely losing 7.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, I want to experience like
The highs
I mean,
and
I've
lows.
experienced it before, but like winning a championship game, and then like, bro, you like sleep on that. I do that. It's like the first round. You sleep on that. You're like, all right, we're feeling good about going into the next day, feeling great. Like, what do we got to do to win the next one? Or even coming off a loss, like what adjustments need to be made. But if you lose like every game and you're like 3-0, it's almost like, damn, it's over. Like I'm just watching because it's the World Series and I got to watch us lose and they're gonna celebrate on us. And then I got to watch that. It's like, nah, I'm good on that. I'd rather go to game 7. I'd rather go to 7 and get blown out in the 7th game. Yeah, hell yeah. Sit there and be miserable like that. It sucks. But, like.
Have you had that happen to one of your teams?
I mean, last year, the Islanders went to game 7 in the Eastern Conference final, and they lost on a shorthanded goal. Like, there was nothing worse than that. Damn. They didn't give up a shorthanded goal all year. Game 7 of the Eastern Conference finals, they gave up a shorthanded and lose 1-0. Bro, I was sitting in the bar, like, just drinking and like staring at the screen, not talking to anyone. I was like, yo, like how did that happen? It felt like it happened. The game happened in 20 minutes. I was like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? It hasn't happened all year, and now it's like happening.
What's whack about getting swept is it's not even a 4-game series. It really becomes a 3-game series because if you go down 3-0, it's kind of just like only a matter of time, right?
Exactly.
So I do feel you on that. The highs and lows of a 7-game series is dope because like you're like, oh man, fuck, we lost that game there. We're not going to get it back. And then before you know, you're in game 7. And you know the only game 7s that I've seen from like my favorite teams have been the Rangers, like or the early 2010s when I was like super into hockey before we started doing VM. That's when like they were going to the conference finals. They went to a Stanley Cup. Another conference finals, and like I remember that one year they were always just going to 7, like every single one. And like the highs and lows, I get it, but then it's obviously easier to say after the fact. But I feel like going into it, if you gave me the option, like I'd rather have no chance at winning it than like having my heart broken, bro.
Bro, how many championships have you seen in your lifetime?
2.
How old are you?
31.
Okay, so it's like you want to have a chance anytime you can. You don't know when it's coming back around.
That's very fair, man.
I'm sure you thought like when the Giants won, 07 and 11, they were like winning. Like, all right, we might have a window here or something. Those years.
2008, the year after they beat the Pats undefeated, I've never been more certain in my life my team was going to win a championship.
Exactly, and they didn't. So it's like you don't want no shot to ever win.
Plaxico!
Plax in the club.
Damn, son.
Yeah, but even like going back to 17, the Yankees, that was like the craziest playoff run when the Astros cheated.
Yeah.
They were down 2-0 to the Indians, and then they won 2 at home and then beat them in game 5 to go to the ALCS. And then it was split 3-3, like on the home and road. The Yankees won all 3 at home, and the Astros won all 3 in Houston. And then game 7, they lost. It was Chapman. Was it that year?
I think that was later on, bro.
It might have been later on.
To Altuve, right?
Yeah. That might have been later on. But CeCe, I think, pitched in game 7. It was like one of his last years, and they lost. The Astros were cheating.
I'm curious to hear what people say. Either get swept or lose in 7. So how about this? In a game 7, would you rather your team get fucking shellacked, like 5-0 in the first period, or would you want a 3 overtime loss?
Nah, 3 overtime loss.
You want that too?
Yeah.
You're crazy, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I'd rather be put on my misery.
It'll take
early,
years out of
son.
my life, like off my life, but there's nothing like that, bro. Like just competing, like they're competing the whole game, rather than it being over and you're like, what the fuck am I gonna do for the next 40 minutes? Watch my team lose and get their ass kicked? It's inevitable. Whereas like going to triple overtime, anything could happen, and they lose.
It's more gut wrenching though, bro.
It is 100%. That shit don't like That don't leave you till the next time your team's in the playoffs.
Bro, that
And you
might
have a
not
chance to
leave
do
you
it
for a
again.
long time.
Oh, yeah,
son.
that too.
Mad
Looking back
long
on
time.
it does, yeah.
I don't know, bro. Like, I rather.
Same way I feel about like the Jets. I was asking you about the Giants when they were in back-to-back AFC championships. It's like they're gonna break through. Sanchez is gonna be in his third year. We got like 15 more years of Sanchez. He wasn't anything special. It was the defense and like the O line and the running game. But I was like, all right, they're young. We have the best quarterback in football. We have an O line in place, and we have our franchise quarterback. Like something's gonna take off, and they'll win. Like this isn't the time to win. It didn't happen. Sanchez flopped.
Yeah.
Revis left, and like. All that stuff happens. So whenever you have a chance to win, I'd rather get my heart ripped out than get smoked and have my heart ripped out because I'll still feel bad anyway.
Man, I remember the last time the Giants made the playoffs was the Packers game with the boat trip. Like that game was over at like halftime. And it was, they no-showed. Only Eli showed up to play. Everyone else kind of like took a week off.
Yeah, took a boat trip.
Yeah, they took a boat trip. My favorite thing is anytime the Giants lose, that picture surfaces. It's like Giants 35 and 82 since this photo or some shit. It's like, oh, thanks, man. But yo, I don't know, man. I rather it being taken away from me at like the last moment would suck. I'd rather just be like down 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. Like, yo, you know what? Fuck it. Just not worth it to watch anymore. Like it's just over. As opposed to like a last second field goal or some shit like that. It's so weird. Because I get what you're saying too, because the highs and lows of like, it's also a 2-week thing, right? Like if your team in hockey or in baseball or basketball goes to 7 games, it's like 10 plus days of you playing the same team. You grow hate. There's a hatred that comes with that team. I'm sure you're like, yo, fuck the Lightning, bro. Like they just stole my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like Back-to-back years. You start developing these rivalries with these teams. Like all of a sudden you're like, yo, why do I hate this team? I play them twice a year. Like what the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. But like, yo, your team loses in the last second or whatever it is, walk off, last second, triple overtime, like you said. I mean, you just start thinking about that game itself. Like you look over that game. I mean, I do like probably like 10, 15 times. I'm like, yo, what if this happened here? What if he scored when there was an empty net right here? Like if he taps that in, we don't have to work. We were not here. We're not in game 7 triple overtime. The game's over in regulation and we're going to the final. So like I just overanalyze shit like after the fact. Like, yo, how did this happen? What if this guy bunted him over here instead of fucking just striking out? I don't know, just wild shit. That's the shit I love though. Like I love looking back on shit like that. Sorry for cursing so much.
Nah, it's good, bro. You're fired up. Right?
Yeah,
we let it rip also. The podcast has a little
about the Lightning beating the Islanders.
Yo,
same thing. See, they missed the playoffs this year because of many circumstances. But
so what about this? Would you rather? Do you feel better when your team wins a lengthy series or when they sweep?
Damn, that's a good one. I'd rather sweep.
Less stress, right?
Less stress. Take it easy. But then you got to worry about the stress of like having like the Avalanche right now, having days off. Or like even talking about baseball, like if you go back to the Rockies, same state, Colorado, that's what probably they're thinking about with all this time off. They're like, yo, we saw this with the Rockies. They swept through the DSCS, got to the World Series, and got swept by Boston in 07, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that team was loaded, and they haven't been like that good since. Like those small market teams, they have a chance to win. Like you gotta.
That's always the conversation
like
of
the Royals
rest.
When they finally won.
Yeah, rest versus rust.
Yeah.
It's like at what point is it just
beneficial to sweep or like beneficial to fucking play 6 or 7?
Yeah, man. I
It's
think
tough.
I remember vividly reading about like World Series trends, and it's like the team coming off a 7 days rest or more in game 1 is like I think like 13 and 38 straight up. Like just because you haven't played in so long.
Yeah.
Especially if the other team is coming off a 6 or 7 game series where they played like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like,
there's so many talking points, man. It's like, yeah, like that team that played 7, they're in rhythm, they're firing on all cylinders.
Dude, what about in the NFL too? The NFL, when a team has clinched the division, they're the 1 seed from like week 17, and then week 17 you play.
Or they don't play the starters.
Yeah, well, week 18
week
you don't
18
play.
now,
Yeah, now because it's new, right? So week 18 you rest them. Then you have a bye. You really have gone like 3 weeks of not playing a real game, and then you come out and
there's no replicating game reps either.
Nah, man.
There's no replicating game reps. You take 3.5 weeks off.
And especially if you're the Patriots and you did it like during Brady, where every year you were in this scenario, I get it because eventually you build enough of a resume and enough experience where you know how to handle the bye week. You know how to handle not playing for 3 weeks. But when you're a young team, like if the Chargers, right? I'm all in on the Chargers. They have a pretty young roster with the exception of like 3-4 guys. It's one of the youngest rosters in the AFC. If they make the playoffs, they're the 1 seed, and then they end up having the division clinched and the 1 seed from like week 16, and then week 17 they kind of go through the motions. Before you know it, it's like this is new territory for you.
Right. Yeah. It's like as a backer, you start like,
be pissed.
Do I want this? Do I don't want this?
Yeah.
It's good.
And then
it's great to have the 1, but it's like at what cost?
And then do you play them at all in week 18 and afford someone getting hurt? And then you have that too. It's such a it's I feel for the coaches, bro, because it feels like it's a lose-lose in a way. Because if I'm a coach and I want my guys to play because I don't want them to be rusty, and then he gets hurt, it's like, how the hell do you play him in the meaningless game, right? Then on the flip side, if I don't play him, and we come out and we lose in the first round, it's like, that's what you get for not playing him all these weeks. Like, you should have played him. And you always see those talking points pop up.
Yeah. Always. Pros and cons, man, to every situation.